Hello everyone and welcome to another truly spectacular game from the Aimchess preliminaries. We are in day 3 and it is Gukesh versus Magnus Carlsen. As you can see with their two ratings, Gukesh is rated some 300 rating points lower than Magnus Carlsen, which is quite a lot, but if you know their classical ratings, you know that Gukesh is some 2730 and Magnus is 2850, 2860, so it's not as great, but that difference in classical is even greater than this one appears here. The difference in classical, I mean, is just incredible that Magnus is so much higher rated, which makes this incredible victory even that more satisfying. So not just by beating Magnus Carlsen, but also by becoming the youngest player ever to defeat Magnus Carlsen since Magnus became world champion. Prior to this, the record was held by Pragnananda, another Indian grandmaster who defeated Magnus Carlsen on February 20th at the age of 16 years, 6 months and 10 days. And Gukesh here is 16 years, 4 months and 20 days old. Now all that's left is for us to enjoy the game, so let's dive straight into it. And it's quite a theoretical struggle. First 18 moves are pure theory, so prepare for that as well. Gukesh has the white pieces and he opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to e6, Magnus goes for the French defense. Pawn to d4, we have pawn to d5 and knight to c3. So the very standard stuff. Knight to f6, this is the classical variation. e5, knight f to d7 and now pawn to f4. The Steinitz variation, we have pawn to c5 and now knight to f3. So fighting for the d4 square, we have knight to c6, bishop to e3 and now pawn to a6. We have queen to d2 by Gukesh, pawn to b5, and now d captures on c5. We have bishop captures, knight captures, and now bishop to d3. It's okay to give up the bishop here as it's all standard theory. We have queen to b6 by Magnus, and now queen to f2, not allowing the knight to move as the queen would hang. And even if you play knight captures on d3 with check, it's not a problem. C captures on d3, and now if queen captures, king captures, white is very, very happy with this endgame. So instead, Magnus goes for b4, as one always should, knight to e2, and now we have pawn to a5, just further expanding on the queen side, adding more support to the b5 pawn, and at some point preparing bishop to a6. So here, Gukesh castles, Magnus goes for the bishop to a6 move right away, and now pawn to f5. Again, nothing new here, all been played before. E captures on f5, and now as you freed up the f4 square for your knight, knight to f4, preparing this very nasty pawn to e6. And Magnus welcomes it as also the d5 pawn is hanging. So knight to e7, guarding the d5 pawn, and now pawn to e6. And you don't really want to react to this, because, for example, f captures on e6 runs into knight captures on e6. And this is very annoying now, because if queen captures, then queen captures on c5, and also if knight captures, you've just blundered your queen on b6. That's another reason why queen to f2 is such a nice move. So instead, Magnus plays f6. This is how you should play this. Again, this is all theory, and the general understanding is that black should be a little bit better here. And now, usually in the games that have reached this position, rook a to d1 and rook f to d1 are the moves. Rook f to d1 and rook a to d1. But here Gukesh plays rook a to c1, and it is now as of move 18 that we have a completely new game. And okay, Magnus castles kingside. Of course, you can't have your king in the center of the board for the rest of the game. Pawn to c3 now, as the rook is now supporting the pawn. Queen to d6, putting pressure on the knight on f4. We have bishop captures on a6 by Gukesh, rook captures, and now c captures on b4, and now knight to e4. Putting pressure on the queen on f2, so queen to e3, and now a captures on b4. We have knight to d4 by Gukesh, and now Magnus grabs the pawn on a2 with rook captures on a2. And this is perfectly fine. If you count material, Magnus is up 2 pawns, so he's very happy with that. And Gukesh has some very unpleasant pressure. He has the knights in the center of the board. The pawn on e6 is quite beautiful. And if he can make use of the queen and the rooks to attack the black king, somehow should be perfectly fine. We have knight to b5 now, attacking the queen, and Magnus goes goes queen to e5. Now with some ideas of queen captures on b2 in the future, then you can put pressure on the g2 pawn. So white has to be very careful. Gukesh plays rook to c7. And this is such a complicated position that it's hard to really make out what's what here. The objective evaluation of the position is that Magnus is just winning, but it's hard for you to even pick a move here. None of the moves here you see are are all that great. For example, you might think, okay, let's play d4. We attack the queen and the knight, but you can just play queen captures on d4. And if queen captures on b5, now there's rook captures on e7. And I mean, it's not much. The only way to actually play this after rook to c7 is for Magnus to find the knight to g6. And the point is, now after knight to d3, attacking the queen, now you do have d4. And now after knight captures on e5, d captures on e3, let's say knight captures on g6, h captures, and e7 or something, you can block, and the black is now just winning here. The passed e pawn is here, you can capture on b2, you have the passed b pawn, so all in all it would be winning. But this is rapid chess, and knight to g6 is not a move that just comes to mind. So here Magnus played rook to e8, and he allowed Gukesh such a brilliant move that, well, once you see it, and of course I will allow you to pause the video and find it, you will, and do pause the video and find it, you will feel very happy with yourself. Once you find this one, you will want to share it with everyone immediately, as it's just not something you would see every day. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this move that defeated Magnus Carlsen and allowed Gukesh to become youngest player ever to defeat Magnus Carlsen since he became world champion. Have at it. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting that the queen on e5 is actually trapped. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is queen to b6. Look at this. I'm going to do it in slow motion from the first time. It's such a good move. So congratulations to everyone who found this. And now the idea behind queen to b6, for those of you who haven't seen this game, although I imagine most of you have, is to defend the e6 pawn. And now the threat of knight to d3 is just too great. The queen will get attacked, and also the knight will be defending the b2 pawn, so the black queen will not have any squares. But it's such a rich position. Surely there must be something Magnus can do here. Nope, there isn't. Point is that if you try knight to g6 now, which is a valid idea, I mean, now, okay, the rook and the queen are attacking e6, so if the knight attacks the queen, you can just capture the e6 pawn. Well, now just queen b7. That's the other idea behind queen to b6. There's no stopping rook captures on g7, and you're just getting destroyed here. So knight to g6 collapses instantly. So what else is there for Magnus? Can he try something like queen captures on b2? Maybe he can save the queen this way. Well, turns out, nope, just rook captures on e7. That's what Gukesh found. And now there's no move. You're just down material, and there's no good way to continue this game. The knight is guarding the g2 pawn, so there's no actually capturing on g2. If you capture the rook here, then just queen to d8, check rook e8, and queen captures is checkmate. And if you try something like after this rook captures on e7, maybe you play, well, there's really not all that much you can play. It's I mean, rook captures on e8 will be mate in one. The pawn is covering the f7 square, so that obviously doesn't work. So what else is there? You could try rook back to a8. This is also one fine attempt, but this just allows the main idea, which is knight to d3, trapping the queen. And now look at this, because of the pawn on e6, let's say rook 8 to b8 goes after the queen on b6, and now you just play queen captures on b8, rook captures on b8, knight captures on e5, f captures on e5, and now rook captures on e7. That's the beauty of it. And Magnus would be very happy if he could capture on b5 and try and play out this endgame, being down the exchange. The problem is, if you do this, rook to e8 is once again checkmate, as there's just no playing this. I mean, you're getting checkmated. So after this queen to b6 move, it would seem that the best move for Magnus is just to resign the game. And he was, I believe he was considering it. I was watching his facial expressions when he was calculating this, and he was so disgusted with himself. It was beautiful to watch. I mean, such pain is very rarely seen in a live stream. Yeah, okay, he didn't resign. He played knight to g5 here. He tried to defend with some tactics. Okay, the knight now covers h7, so maybe you don't get checkmated. Gukesh immediately played rook captures on e7, as this is the way to go. Again, rook captures, runs into queen to d8 with check, and the checkmate will follow. But now after this capture, Magnus retreated the rook to a8. So rook e to a8. And now we have queen to c7. Gukesh says, I don't really care. I'm up material. I'm offering a queen trade. Also, I'm threatening rook captures on g7. So queen to e3 check. Now Gukesh plays king to h1. And he was in this position on move 29 that Magnus Carlsen resigned the game, and Gukesh became the youngest player ever to defeat Magnus Carlsen since becoming world champion. It seems like maybe you have something here, but no, you really don't. For example, if queen f2, hoping for rook captures on a1 checkmate, rook to a1 checkmate, there's the very nasty rook captures on g7. Even this, I mean, everything works here for Gukesh. That queen to b6 simply opened up Pandora's box for king h8. And now even rook captures on h7. Doesn't even matter that Magnus played this knight to g5, because after knight captures, knight to g6 check, only move king to g8, and now queen to f7 is checkmate. Again, compliments of the e6 pawn. So once we go back to this position and you have this like let's say this position, and the pawn is on e6, and objectively black is much better, but you can see how much trouble black's in and how many problems black has to solve due to this pawn being on e6, and especially after this rook to e8 move was played. I mean, the spectacular queen to b6, we can check it out once again, just queen to b6, I mean, such a beautiful move. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Gukesh really did a number on Magnus in this one. I mean, truly outstanding. 29 moves to take down the world champion. Absolutely brilliant stuff by Gukesh. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see who will overtake Gukesh as the youngest player to ever beat Magnus, or will some other records be there to be broken. We'll see what the future holds. So yeah, once again, hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Duncan Weinkohl, Women Life Freedom, Lord of Chess, Anderson Vera, and Antonio Hernandez Espin for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.